Welcome to the Diva D-Town. Welcome to the Diva D-Town, where bold, confident women embrace life unapologetically. From love and sex to wellness and reinvention, we keep it raw, real, and powerful. No filters, no limits. Just fearless conversations to help you thrive. Let's dive in with Diva Mia.
Well, hello, this is Diva Mia. Today we're talking about testosterone. Yep, testosterone, ladies. A lot of people don't think testosterone is necessary for women. They don't want to grow facial hair. They don't want to get too bulky, masculine-looking muscles. It's been labeled as the male hormone, and estrogen became the female hormone. And an entire generation of women, we believe that our sex drive disappeared and it was okay. It was just part of getting older. Our body composition changes. You gain a little bit of weight as you get older. But what's happened is we're shifting our mindset. It helps with so many things when you're going through menopause and other things. So we're going to cover all that. But there's another side of this conversation too. Testosterone has become trendy. So lately, if you've talked to friends, you may say, oh, you're on testosterone too. They might be on estrogen. They might be on testosterone. They might be on progesterone. We've got hormone clinics that are popping up everywhere for men and women that promise better sex, more muscles, weight loss, unlimited energy, and feeling like you did in your 20s or 30s. So you've got two sides of the same coin. Testosterone is necessary, but it's not your miracle supplement. It's not a miracle injection or pill. We need to figure out what's true and what's just marketing. And if you would benefit, you may not. If there's risks associated with it, because here's the thing, when you go on any type of supplement or any type of hormone, you really need to do your homework. You really need to do some analysis, some pre-work. Then you need to talk to your doctor and make sure get all your questions answered. So we're going to help you out with that today. We're also going to talk to you a little bit about getting your blood work done, because blood work, ladies, whether it's for hormones or just checking in to make sure everything's going okay as we age, it should be a regular process. I know people that get their blood work done every month. I know people that do it once a quarter, and then some just do it once a year, but you need to make sure you're getting your blood work. Not just your regular complete blood count, your CBC and your cholesterol, but also your hormones. Then you have to realize that you need to track your hormones. If you're getting on hormones, you're going to have to track your blood work and determine if it gets too high, because sometimes you take too much. Then we're going to talk about the pellets as well, because I was on pellets for a while. Wasn't my favorite thing. I will talk to you a little bit about those. Those are actually, they're pellets injected into your hip. Get ready for a testosterone nuts and bolts conversation. I just want to have a disclaimer that we are required to say, but this episode is just educational. Hormone therapy has to be individualized because you're going to be different from your friend. You can't just go pop pills that your friend does. You need to talk to a qualified clinician or doctor, especially if you have any liver issues, cardiovascular issues, blood clotting, endocrine system. But nonetheless, you need to get your testosterone levels checked so you know where you need to get to. Also, you may have different goals. If your goal is just to stabilize your menopause, that might be a different level than if you're wanting to do bodybuilding or some type of athletics. So remember, everything's going to be different and it's individualized just for you. Testosterone is not an androgen hormone. It's typically men have dramatically higher levels than women. We're not going to be at the same level as men, and you don't want to be. But we do produce natural testosterone as well. Realize we already have testosterone. It's not a male hormone. It's just a hormone. And estrogen men produce as well. It's not a female hormone. It's just a hormone. In women, testosterone, its primary source is for the ovaries, adrenal glands, and it helps with tissue growth. It helps with muscle growth. It's not just about sex. I had a friend from Hawaii that said she didn't want to get her testosterone levels fixed because her testosterone, she's gone through menopause and is next to zero. And I said, why not? She's like, because I'm single and I don't want my sex drive to increase. I thought it was kind of funny. I go, well, it's for other things too. It's for mental function. It's for energy, but she didn't want to do it. So she's not doing it. So hopefully you're out there listening, but it's there for other purposes as well, not just for sexual function. It's in your body. It's not like we're adding something that's not there unless you've decreased it so much that now you're struggling. That's the question though. Do we give women extra testosterone? So let's separate the biological from the reason. So there is a myth out there that testosterone is just a man's hormone, but it's not. Men have it at a much higher concentration. That's why they're more of a protector, they gain more muscle mass, etc. But women, we need it too. The biggest thing we have to determine is exactly what dose. It's not supposed to turn us into the same concentration as a man. So when you're on testosterone, you're going to be on a much lower dose than what a man was on. There is a normal physiological range that they have for women, and you want to keep it within that range, because you will, if you get too high, you may develop extra facial hair and could grow more muscle mass than you want. So you got to be careful with it as well. This distinction matters, though. You need to make sure your dose is correct, and it's going to be different for when we go through menopause. A lot of people are paying more attention to their hormones because you're going to get hot flashes. You may have your sexual desire may decrease. You may not initiate sex anymore. If you're with a partner and they're like, why don't you want to have sex anymore? It's because your testosterone went down. You may have less sexual desire. So it does affect sex too, ladies. But you may love your partner, but sexually you just don't feel connected to them anymore. And a lot of it may be testosterone. It can happen to men. It can happen to women. It just really takes away that desire feeling. And you may feel like you don't recognize yourself. And sometimes we're told, oh, it's just menopause. Don't worry about it. You'll get over it. Or you're just getting older, or maybe cut back on your stress, do some more yoga, meditate. But those things can help as well, but that they can contribute. But if your testosterone's off. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to tell you, if you have complete desire for a man and even your testosterone is low, you're still going to desire the man. But if you have testosterone low and you're not so happy with the man and you raise your testosterone, you may still not be happy with the man. So it's not a magic bullet. So if you're in a marriage or a relationship where the man did something and they violated, I think we talked about this before, your respect or your trust, or they just don't treat you well, no matter the testosterone you add, it's not going to help, because there's a mental block there with you and that man. So just realize it's not a magic bullet, but it will help, especially if you do love the person, you do have desire, and you want to increase the desire. That's why I say, women, unless you are ready to really like the person, don't worry about it making your sex hormones too crazy. If you say, well, I don't want to go on testosterone like my friend did because I'm not having any sex, then you have to realize that you can still go on testosterone to fix all the other issues and not worry about the sex. And low sexual desire causes personal distress. So who benefits of going on testosterone? So I would say one of the biggest benefits is anyone that is in menopause or premenopause or has estrogen deficiency. One of the things is if you get too much testosterone in your bodies, ladies, your body's going to convert it to estrogen for you. If you have vaginal dryness, and now we talked about this on our last podcast, or if sex is painful because you're so vaginally dry, the testosterone will help. It also helps people with sleep problems. So if you're not sleeping well, or if you got a lot of stress or anxiety, testosterone can help with you regulating your stress, your anxiety, and your sleep. And then if you have relationship problems, sometimes relationship problems, ladies, are because your desire is down. I'm not justifying any bad behavior on the man's part, but sometimes it does create strife and it can cause aggravation in a relationship, especially if you don't ever want to have sex. So the man might get upset with you, and it could create relationship problems. And then sometimes medications will drop your testosterone too. So just realize that testosterone can be affected by so many things. It can even be affected by illness or thyroid, and other things can cause sexual dysfunction as well. But if sex hurts, vaginal dryness, ladies, I will say the testosterone does help with that, and it fixes the pain as well, because if you're not dry, it's easier to have sex. Yes, you can use lubrications, and lubrications do work, but it's not going to fix everything. The other thing is, if you're sleeping less than 5 or 6 hours a night, testosterone may also not be the problem, because you may also have sleep apnea, because a lot of people develop sleep apnea as they get older. So if you're snoring or you stop breathing, you need to get that checked out, as well as your testosterone. If you resent your partner, again, the mental component, if you don't like how they've treated you, if you don't like what they've done to you, that's not going to be fixed by testosterone. If you're not happy with them, you're going to have to work that out, maybe therapy or something like that. Otherwise, you're never going to get that fixed, because no matter how much testosterone, you're just still not going to like that partner. If a medication is suppressing your libido, you have to take that in consideration as well. There's hormones, and once you get on your hormone, you need to analyze it and determine what is happening. How do you feel? Is it making you feel better? Is it making you feel worse? So there's two components. There's the blood work as well as how you feel. And you need to keep track of that, because if you get on testosterone and you're not feeling anything, you need to let the clinician know. If you get on testosterone and you feel like you're climbing the walls and you have way too much sexual desire, you need to talk to them as well. The correct dose is going to be determined upon you. That's why I said every single person is going to be different. And some people don't need a lot of testosterone and will still have sexual satisfaction, and some people need a lot more and still will not. But your hormones are very important, as well as how you feel about the person. Testosterone has been advertised lately as, oh, you're going to build lots of muscle, you're going to lose lots of fat, you're going to get rid of your brain fog, it's going to help your aging, your bone density, your energy in general, etc. But most women were reporting a little bit of improvement in some of those areas, but it's not like, oh, these huge improvements. A lot of it's anecdotal. Biology is a funny thing, because people are different, and certain things will affect one person, not affect the other. That's why sometimes, some people will have different interactions with medications, even though 99% of the people are fine. Current guidelines, though, I will say there's international guidelines that testosterone for women is there simply to help improve our well-being. There's strong enough evidence that it does. It helps with our bone health. It helps with our body composition. And that's important, because testosterone can affect all your biological issues, but it doesn't mean that you need testosterone therapy to produce a meaningful result, like extreme. A light amount may have a huge impact. So as far as muscle goes, because I think a lot of women, we want to keep our muscles as we get older so that our metabolism stays up, our bone mass stays up, and we can look clean and young into the future. And a normal replacement levels, it doesn't behave like a bodybuilding steroid. Just so you know, ladies, you're not going to get these really thick muscles or be ready for a competition anytime soon by going on testosterone. It's just giving you adequate levels to help you with resistant training. You still got to do the workouts, and you still got to develop your muscles the way you want to develop them. There's not any evidence that it's going to turn you into a super bodybuilder. But it may help you with your postmenopausal. It may help you keep your lean muscle mass that you may not have been able to keep before. And if someone promises it's going to melt all your fat away and pack on the muscle, there's a lot of snake oil salespeople out there that try to sell pills and everything else that it's going to be a miracle cure. It's not. But it will help you with a little bit of mental focus, with vaginal dryness, with some sexual desire, and it'll help you with a little bit of muscle gain. As far as the energy goes, it's funny, because some women feel like it gets rid of brain fog and some women don't. It's kind of part of the normal hormonal environment. So if you're deficient in other areas, you may need to look at that. You could have an iron deficiency, B12, vitamin B, different vitamins can cause deficiencies that make you have brain fog, or your thyroid. A lot of women in our 50s, we get a thyroid issue. You may need to look into that. And then again, I talked about sleep apnea, and sleep is so important. I've talked to so many different people that talked about sleep, and sleep is the magic to the whole recipe. If you're not sleeping at least 7 to 8 hours a night, you're shooting yourself in the foot. If you've been trying to lose weight and you're not getting 7 to 8 hours a night, you're shooting yourself in the foot, because when you sleep is when you lose the weight. When you sleep is when you recover. When you sleep is when your body gets reset. If you're not sleeping, you're going to have chronic stress, chronic cortisol, which will keep the weight on. So remember, sleep, sleep, sleep. If you could fix anything in your life and your sleep is off, sleep is the number one thing to fix. And then realize that, if you're insulin resistant or you have an estrogen deficiency, that as well can affect your muscle growth. So before assuming testosterone is the answer, you got to investigate the problem. And again, each individual is different. And there's ranges. There's a purpose for the range. So you can find out where you fall on the spectrum and the range that makes you feel the best. But you need to have somebody helping you through this, because it is not just a 5-minute appointment. Every time you go to a hormone specialist, it should be a half hour to 45 minutes discussing just hormones and how you feel, other medications you're taking, etc. So I will say sexual desire is one of those most complicated things for a woman. For men, not as much. A lot of men's sexual desire will go down when their testosterone is not where it needs to be. But for women, we could have the correct amount of testosterone and still have no sexual desire. Because it's not just hormones, it's neurotransmitters, it's our connection to the other person. I know if I'm not connected, I don't feel sexual towards them. I need that emotional connection. You also have to feel physically comfortable, and there's also a relationship dynamic. So if you're feeling like they're constantly dominating and ordering you around, or they're constantly fighting with you and causing you stress and other psychological things, you're going to not have sexual desire. But testosterone can be one part of his system to help, but not if you're facing all those other issues. For postmenopausal women, if you can have a meaningful improvement just from the testosterone, sometimes, your relationship will improve just because the desire comes back. And that's a hope for us because, a lot of women were completely in love and desiring, and then they get to 40 or 45 and their desire goes down because they're going through menopause and their hormones get messed up. So, but here's the thing. You shouldn't be putting a testosterone cream on or a shot and expect it to be an overnight fix. It usually takes a few weeks, if not a month or so, for your testosterone to regulate to the level that you need it to actually feel the difference. If you're monitoring it, don't go to the doctor a week later and say, hey, I need to increase my dose. I didn't feel anything. That doesn't solve the problem. It takes time. It takes time to build up. I think now that it's FDA approved, there's currently an FDA approved product, testosterone, specifically for women. There's creams that you can use. There's injections you can use. There's tablets. It's always prescription, ladies. This is not something over the counter, just so you know. You should not be using off-label male testosterone when there is a female dose, okay? And don't just go grab it from anybody that's selling testosterone because you never know what you're going to get. You really need to go to someone, a reputable person that handles female testosterone as well. Generally, a lot of people will do transdermal, which means under the skin, but it depends. Sometimes people even take a pill. I've seen that. But if you've got any type of liver issue, you may want to do an injection or a cream because the oral testosterone can cause problems with your liver. So realize your situation is going to be different than everyone else's because you're unique. You may have different health conditions, and therefore you have to have a different situation as well. The delivery system does matter, okay? It's not just go grab whatever. There are also these things called testosterone pellets, and it's inserted under the skin. Now, they should be numbing it. I went to a place one time where they didn't numb it very well, and it hurt like crazy. They sound super convenient because you only take it every 3 months or etc., but there's a downside to it. Once the pellet gets in, you can't stop applying like cream or something if you're using that because you could also develop side effects, okay? And there are side effects that come along with the pellet, and some people say that if the dose is too high, it takes a long time to come off. And others, I have had people say that when you are on the pellet, you ramp up faster, but then you come down and it takes a while to get ramped back up. So it's more of a irregular response for the people that I've seen that have gone on the pellets. And some people say the pellets sometimes turn it on way too high, so your sexual desire goes through the roof and then it completely dies down again. Either way, you're going to have to get some tests done because testosterone is not prescribed like Botox, ladies. If you're going to go in and get a Botox shot, it's something you have to get a medical history. They're going to do your total testosterone. They're going to do different types of testosterone, other tests like your thyroid, your estradiol, your blood count, all your lipids, your liver, your B12, all that stuff needs to be done before you get on testosterone. Not every woman needs every test, but if you've got any health concerns that point to anything, you need to have those tests done. There is a magic number range on testosterone where if you get to in that range, you are actually doing quite well. Now, I will say that again, even if you're doing well, you may have other goals of competing in bodybuilding competition, so you want to get the testosterone higher. But you're not going to do it overnight. You're going to do it, again, over time. It might take you a few months to ramp up to the level of testosterone that you need. If you need testosterone for specific symptoms, you need to make sure you document the response as you're on testosterone. For instance, if it's specifically for low libido and fatigue, you need to document, my libido has been increasing, I'm feeling stronger, or you're not. And once you get your baseline, you can go from there and adjust. And then once you know that you need a certain level, then you need to talk about, can I take it via gel or cream or injection or pellet? Or is there something else that I need to do? Realize testosterone can be given to women in multiple ways, just like it's given to men in multiple ways. Then if you know what testosterone range you are targeting, that's a good important step as well. For instance, I'm wanting to get more into bodybuilding. I need to go higher on my testosterone than maybe I would as a person that's just trying to gain a little bit of muscle mass and maintain bone mass. For me, I might be trending higher. Now, even at the height, I'm still not at the low of where a man is. That's the way we are. We are built different. And then you're going to have to monitor your blood work and check to make sure it doesn't get too high. Doctors will be able to tell you if your testosterone's too high, and you might get skin hair or acne, something. If you get too high, things can happen. Remember, when you're regulating it, you need to check it as well. And sometimes, a lot of times, women will go on pellets and then they don't check their blood work or get their blood work tested. And if you don't do that, you don't know if the pellets are a good fit or not. Everyone that gets testosterone is different. And sometimes they have hormone membership programs where you're going in and you're paying a specific amount. You get your blood work done, you get on testosterone, then you come back in a month or two and you get your blood work done and they adjust your testosterone. Those are the membership programs. That's something that's new, that's coming about, that a lot more people are getting onto because it's very repetitive and people check in a scientific way to see where you fall. It's treated more like laboratory numbers instead of specific symptoms. So they're running your numbers as well as how you feel. And if you want extremely high female testosterone replacement therapy, then, you have to understand that it may cause some mental issues as well, as far as your sexual desire may go up. You may be very astute. You may even develop more of a aggressive behavior. So realize that may happen when you have too high of testosterone. But it's so funny because some places promise that testosterone is going to fix everything. It's going to fix your weight, your fatigue, your bad sex, your brain fog, and it doesn't. If one hormone fixes every problem that you ever had, then your credit card may be the organ they're most interested in treating, because they're going to, take you for everything. The reality is it doesn't. If they won't do a baseline of blood work when you go in, you should not be getting testosterone from them. That's the first thing they should do. If they don't do follow-up blood work at least every couple months, then you should walk away, because you're going to want to test and want to know where your testosterone was, so you can see if there's any side effects, as well as if it's actually working. Acne and facial hair are the biggest, but there's other things that can happen. You need to make sure wherever you go that you're going to a place that is credible and that is testing and checking you out. Just because it's a cream doesn't make it more safe. Bioidentical, they keep saying, but it's more of a marketing term. Most of these the compounding products don't undergo the same FDA approval as other FDA medications. You have to be careful as well where you go to. Just because it's compounded as well, that doesn't mean it's superior. Okay? And if you develop the following signs, you need to be careful when you're on testosterone. If you start to get acne or oily skin or more body hair, your scalp starts to change, you might even lose hair, you might gain hair, you might lose hair, you get moodier. One of the things that they don't talk about often is that your clitoris could get larger, your orgasms could be larger. So those types of things can happen with increased testosterone. Some of these things are potentially irreversible, so be very careful with this. The goal is not to see how much testosterone you can tolerate, but how much testosterone is the right balance for you, especially with your other hormones. It's better goal to say, what is the lowest appropriate dose that I feel works for me to maintain my female levels. And it's a process. It's not let me give you this. And it may change over time. It may be that you start high and you go a little lower, and then maybe next year you go high again and you go lower. It might change with the seasons. You just don't know. That's why you also have to keep it checked. Let's flip the conversation a little bit and talk about men's testosterone too, because our men are important to us, ladies. So it's important to have their testosterone checked as well, because men do go through it's like a menopause, if you will, where they go through life changes. They may have issues with erectile dysfunction. They may be tired. And a lot of things, they get brain fog too. Testosterone is important to be checked for men, not just women. We don't know what there's going on in their body. It could also be they've gained some weight, or they have another medical condition, or even medicine can bring it down for them too. If they have a genuine problem, testosterone replacement therapy is huge. I know a lot of men that are on testosterone, a lot of men, especially after they get over about 40, because their testosterone drops like crazy. And they will have significant changes. Libido will go down. Their sexual characteristics will go down. Their bone health decreases just like it does in women, and some of them get anemic. So you have to realize that they need to get their testosterone checked as well. So if they're having issues sexually, ladies, or if they're getting brain fog or tired all the time, you may want to take them with you to get the testosterone. Now, there are places that are designed just for men with testosterone. But at the same time, women can go to the same places because a lot of times they have a women's section or they will treat women. You can go with your partner to the same location. Just see if they treat women as well. You know, fertility matters too. If you're still trying to get pregnant, if you're in those age ranges and their testosterone is low, it could be difficult to father a child if their testosterone is too low. So make sure they talk to the fertility doctor or your OBGYN when you're trying to get pregnant. Say, hey, I think my husband's testosterone needs to get checked. You guys need to work that out and have them seeing a doctor as well. If you're a man and you're considering getting on testosterone, you're going to have to determine how low your testosterone first. So you're going to do blood work as well. They'll probably check your estrogen, etc. Because again, if you get too much testosterone, it just gets converted into estrogen. Then determine why you need the testosterone. Just like women, we decided, well, we're trying to decrease our brain fog or increase our muscle mass or make sure we don't lose bone density. All of those things are great for women. Whereas men, it's the same type of thing, but they will have a much higher target. They're going to test and then they'll inject and then they'll figure out where they're at. If they're really low, they might start them on a much higher dose than you, and that's okay. It depends on the person, and everything is individual for men as well, but they have a much higher range that they're supposed to be in. For women and men, I mean, where should you go? For a woman, go to your gynecologist. Go to a menopause specialist or an endocrinologist. Because sexual health is so important, and we forget about sexual health sometimes when we're at the gym, but sexual health is extremely important. And men, there's clinics for men and women that you can go to if you're looking for some type of membership or to save a little bit of money. The clinics may be the way to go because a lot of times testosterone is not covered by insurance, which is sad. It's more of an alternative medicine, but sometimes insurance covers it. So do go ahead and check first before you go spending a lot of money somewhere else. Also, how comfortable are you with the provider? If you go in and it's completely disorganized, they don't remember your name, they can't find your file, realize that might not be the best fit for you. You need to interview them. Yeah, you got to interview the doctor, just like, when you go in and see anybody. You get to hire them because they're going to help manage your body. This is an important part. If you don't have the right testosterone, if you don't have the right levels of hormones, it can completely be a distraction for your body. If you've got low testosterone and your blood test proves it, make sure you figure out a plan with your provider because you need to get that fixed. I mean, it's a lifelong journey, and I think we need to balance things out, but we need to make sure that we take care of ourselves in a way that we can have longevity, and it helps with if you're trying to get pregnant, etc. But here's what I wanted to say. If you get the right amount and the appropriate dose, it can have extreme beneficial effects. But realize women, we do need testosterone. Every woman over 40 needs testosterone, honestly. The evidence shows that we drop so much in our testosterone that if we're over 40, you really need to take it seriously. But remember, you need to determine what symptoms you really need to check because symptoms are different for everyone. It may help with hot flashes. It may help with some of the menopause symptoms that are driving you crazy. Because it's midlife, you're at a point where you should stop worrying about what everybody else is and start asking questions that fit your body and fit who you are the best. I hope that as you get older, it doesn't mean that you're accepting every change without an explanation either. I think we are problem solvers by nature, and we need to figure out what's the problem so we can fix things and find solutions. But treating every change with a hormone is also not the answer. Realize that knowing good medicine and how to read your body, it's a journey. As you get older, it's going to be more of a masterpiece because you have to get all the different parts and put it together in order to grow and feel better. I hope this helped a little bit as far as testosterone. I want everyone to understand that you probably, if you're over 40, need to really take it seriously and not just avoid it because of the sexual components, because you have to get much higher if your desire is low anyway. But do take it seriously and get on testosterone if you're over 40. Get the correct dosage and realize that it will help you in the long run and it may give you a better quality of life. This is Diva Mia signing off. Stay strong, stay humble, and love your life. Take care. Have a great week.
Thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe, and drop a comment. We'd love hearing from you. Visit thedivadetails.com to connect. See you next week for more.
Diva Details podcast and website are intended solely for informational and entertainment purposes. The content provided does not constitute professional, medical, financial, or legal advice. We are not licensed medical practitioners, financial advisors, or legal professionals. Always consult with a qualified healthcare provider for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Any financial topics discussed are based on personal opinions and experience and should not be considered professional advice. The content provided does not constitute legal advice. The Diva Details and its affiliate contributors and guests are not liable for any losses or damages arising from the use of our content. The opinions expressed in the podcast are solely those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views of any affiliated organization, sponsors, or partners. While facts discussed in the podcast are researched and accurate to the best of our knowledge at the time of recording, information may change over time. No guarantees are made regarding the accuracy, completeness, or reliability of any statements or opinions presented. It is the responsibility of the listener to verify any and all facts that may influence their decision. This podcast is for information and entertainment purposes only and should not be considered professional advice.